Good evening and welcome to Current Issues. I'm your host, Hesham Tillawi. Just when you think, ladies and gentlemen, that you have heard it all, think again. This world is going mad because there are mad people in this world. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be speaking about the story of the Khalil Gibran International Academy. It's a middle school in New York, in Brooklyn, New York, that is, that decided to teach Arabic to its sixth graders. To teach Arabic to its sixth graders. They made the announcements back in February, and a war started from these hate mongers who think that a language can breed terrorists. Even though most of these children are American citizens, they're Americans, they're not Arabs. If they were Arabs, they will not be teaching them the Arabic language. You know, at a time when we need Arabic-speaking professionals in the United States, we only have few 100,000 companies working in the Middle East and Arabic-speaking countries. We only have probably about 500,000 of our people between Iraq and Kuwait who probably love to speak Arabic or love to know few words in Arabic. Maybe it will save their lives. At a time when we need to teach the Arabic language, you have people attacking a language. This middle school in Brooklyn who decided to teach Arabic as a second language, and a language, they're not teaching politics, they're not teaching Taliban 101, they're not teaching the biography of Bin Laden, they're only teaching Arabic. But yet, the Daniel Pipes of the world decided to attack the school for wanting to teach Arabic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have many thousands of schools, chartered schools throughout the United States who specialize in one thing or another. It could be Spanish, it could be Italian, it could be whatever. 2 weeks ago, we told you the story about a school in Florida that went Hebrew. We did not hear anything about it. There was no complaints. But this school in New York, even though it is named after one of the greatest American poets, Khalil Gibran, that we even celebrate a day every year. It's a federal holiday, the Khalil Gibran Day celebration. But now we have people who called the school that it will be a breeding ground for terrorists when they could not do much damage. With that accusations, they started on the principal, who was an Arab American, a veteran in the New York City educational system, many years, an excellent background in Arabic, she speaks it, and with the educational experience that is needed in New York City. But yet, they could not shut down the school because of the Arabic language, so they started on the principal, Debbie Almontaser, who's an Arab American, who unfortunately decided to resign because of this attack on the school. Well, the New York City Education Department decided to give that job to a Jewish woman who I'm sure is more than capable to run a school. But I think probably it was a smart move on the part of the New York City Educational Department to basically diffuse the tension that was created. But was this going to be the end? I doubt it. Could they have found another Arab American to run the school? I'm sure they could, but they decided to go that route while they look for another permanent principal. This is America today, ladies and gentlemen. The attack on a language. This is a classical example of anti-Semitic, because Arabic is a Semitic language, and the only reason that these hate mongers have attacked the school was because it will teach Arabic, a language that is badly needed. But yet, because it's Arabic, now a language is a language of terrorism. Now a language will breed terrorists. You be the judge. Joining us now is Laila Al-Qatami. She is the communications director with the Arab American, or the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee from Washington, D.C. Welcome to the program, Laila.
Thanks for having me.
So, what is this mess in New York? Is it because of the principal, or is it because of the language itself?
You know, this mess in New York is frankly ridiculous. And I wonder, you know, something like this. And, you know, we've seen this in the past where identities and ethnicities and people are targeted. And it seems to be part of, you know, unfortunately, acclimatizing, an ethnic group acclimatizing to life in America. Having said that, of course, the level of virulence and hatred towards Arabs and anything Arab and or Muslim in the United States, and the space for that in public discourse has really increased over the last, I'd say, 6 years. I mean, certainly it's always been prevalent. This has been a problem. There are a lot of people who, you know, make careers out of trying to attack anything Arab and or Muslim, trying to spread fear about these types of things. But in the last 6 years, we've seen more of a concerted effort. And what surrounded the Khalil Gibran International Academy was really part of a concerted effort to demonize anything that's Arab and or Muslim. Now, you know, you hit on the ultimate irony of all of this is that, you know, the United States, the government, school system has all agreed that, you know, we need more people who are trained and qualified to speak Arabic. And, you know, it's well within the rights of anyone to learn that language here. And so when plans were announced for the school back in, I believe it was February, you know, it seems very logical. Khalil Gibran himself, everyone, you know, he's probably one of the most renowned Arab poets. If he's an Arab American, he actually resided in Brooklyn. So it seemed a fitting tribute to him and, you know, a good idea to open up a school that would focus on the Arabic language. Now, it's a regular school. It teaches the same subjects as any other school with the addition of Arabic language instruction. Immediately then, you know, notorious Arab bashers decided, well, we've got to take this down. It's, you know, just ridiculous. And so they mounted a concerted effort to demonize the school. And unfortunately, Debbie Almontaser, who was really with the school from its inception, its creation, who really was a driving force behind it, you know, she got caught up in all of that. Unfortunately, you know, you have to be very clear and careful about the things you say, how you say, who you respond to, the way you say it, because they will, you know, look to any misstep or mistake to really, you know, bring a person down, and that's unfortunately what happened with Debbie. However, the school did open. It opened today. They had slots for 60 students, and I believe they filled 57 of those slots. So, you know, it opened. Unfortunately, kids had to go to school and, you know, see extra security at the school just because, you know, it is what it is. So
now,
that's where we are with that, and I think it's, you know, I'm glad that the school opened. I'm glad they persevered, and, you know, I hope to see it grow and thrive.
Laila, do you know out of these 50-some students or 60 that were registered, do you know how many actually have Arabic background?
Actually, that's a very good question. When I had been looking over the articles and stories about all of this, they indicated that not a large portion of those were actually Arab and or Muslim. And in fact, I even saw a story about a woman who thought it would be good for her to send her child to speak Arabic. It would be kind of a leg up on the competition, as she put it. So they were not. The vast majority of them were not Arabs.
Now, if we
there were a number of Muslims, but there was also another ethnic cross-section.
Now, if we leave those vultures alone, like the Daniel Pipes, etc., how are the parents and the community? Have you heard their comments? Are they for it? Are they against it? And, Brooklyn is not an Arab town, so I'm sure it's not like in the middle of Arab town in Brooklyn, is it?
Brooklyn does have a good portion, a sizable portion of Arab Americans, but it's not what I would, say is one of the highest concentrations of Arabs in the United States. But it does have a sizable number of Arabs living in the area.
Okay. So now tell me something, Laila. Now we have a Jewish lady who will be the principal. Do you think this will shut these people off, or do you think they will continue the attack, or is it not going to be a breeding school for terrorists now since the principal was changed?
Well, yeah, exactly. You've hit on several very important issues. With the appointment of Danielle Salzberg, what they had done was, I guess, a very strategic move on their part, and also one that was reflective of Danielle's commitment to the school. She had been involved with the school for several months beforehand. So she actually, does have a history of opening and founding schools. So she's not necessarily, I would never say she's not qualified for the job, at all, because she does have the qualifications. But I think strategically the fact that, she's a Jewish American probably did help silence those critics. I think it's unfortunate that that's the way it worked, but that is probably the way it worked.
So you do agree that her placement and assignment was based on her Jewishness?
No. I made it very clear that she has excellent qualifications for the job, and she had been involved with the.
But they use since there's a Jewish lady here, it might make things better.
Well, potentially, I think that they wanted to move forward with the school opening.
Laila,
and I think ultimately that's one of the things that was really important, is that even though there were these voices trying to derail the school for really ridiculous reasons, really, bigoted and ridiculous reasons, what they did was also even not open up space to people who may have had a legitimate criticism for the school not opening, a size issue or something like that. Those voices you never really heard. You just heard the ridiculous ones. So, yeah.
Now, why? Arabs are Semitic people. Arabic language is a Semitic language. This is definitely an anti-Semitic gesture on the part of these people. Why Arab Americans never use this weapon that the other side is using every time you mention Israel, every time you mention Zionists, every time you mention anything about what's going on in the Middle East, unless you put the blame on the Arabs. If you put it on somebody else, they're going to say, oh, you're anti-Semitic. This is a classical case of anti-Semitic. Why I never heard anyone use that, hey, look, this is anti-Semitic. Why is that? Is anti-Semitic just only for one group of people?
No, that has been used by many people to describe the situation, and it's certainly applicable in this particular case. However, a lot of the people who were making these allegations, and let's not be naive about who they are. They're led by a coalition of people with Daniel Pipes and the David Horowitzes who really have a career bashing anything that's Arab, but they themselves are Semitic. So that argument doesn't necessarily resonate or doesn't work to diffuse what they're saying, but it is perfectly valid here.
Okay. Now let's get into a little bit about why Debbie has had to resign. Because of a T-shirt that said NYC Intifada, and she explained what the word Intifada means?
Yeah, I mean, this was just absolutely ridiculous. But it also is a testament to the force that this coalition, like all the the voices and the strength that it had behind it. It was completely ridiculous. This, one, they called her to ask her about an issue not related to the Khalil Gibran Academy. It was related to a T-shirt. Two, she explained the meaning of the shirt, and that should have been it. But ultimately, what they were trying to do was create some sort of furor and hubbub. Their papers had already been, the op-ed pages, the editorial pages, and, a lot of the front page content had been ratcheted up so high, already that people were like, well, she's denying this and denying that. And it was completely, I mean, there's no word to describe how unreal, not realistic, how irrational, and how sad it was that, this Debbie, who, had been working on this school project for quite some time, really the brainchild behind it, had to resign because of something as ridiculous as this. And she, I haven't talked to her since she stepped down, so I don't know. I have no way of knowing this, but I think part of it also is she wanted to diffuse the controversy surrounding, surrounding the school, and to make sure its opening was not derailed.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
We tried to get her on the show, but apparently she's not doing much as far as interviews. We left her a message. We have not heard from her.
I can certainly understand that.
Yeah, sure. But, I wonder if those people who did not like what she explained when she explained what intifada means, which is just an Arabic word that means shake off, and they did not like that explanation. But I wonder if these people can explain to me what a genocide, a Palestinian genocide means, or what a Nakba means, or what an apartheid wall means, or what a military occupation means. Maybe we can get to understand languages better if they don't like the way she explained intifada. Maybe these people can explain those to us.
Sure, you're making some very valid points in this argument here about the disparity between the way they construe and label anything Arab. It's ridiculous to me. And again, you touched on it at the beginning of this interview. The irony is that here in the United States we have just about everyone calling for more Arabic language training, particularly at younger ages, when people are able to absorb languages more easily and become reach a higher level of fluency. And here's a school that's doing that, supported, seems to be doing just fine in terms of enrollment. And, people are trying to derail it for things that are, nothing but unfounded rumors and, racist comments.
Now, Laila, you did mention something that Arab Americans have been increasingly coming under attack, Arab Americans and Muslim Americans, and it's increasing. Is that because the Arabs and the Muslims in America are not doing enough to explain and probably to educate, not explain, but to educate the, other Americans as far as what an Arab American means and what a Muslim American means? It seems like we are putting out fires all the time, and fires are popping up all over the place. So is the strategy not working? What is going on within the Arab American community that we see this sort of things happen? Why did Debbie had to resign? Why not enough people stood beside her? I'm not talking about Arab Americans. I'm sure all of them did. But definitely, this is a defeat for Arab Americans. It is. You can look at it that it is a win situation because the school opened, and that's a plus. But at the end, the principal was forced out because of her ethnicity. So what is it that Arab Americans not doing?
Well, yeah, I can only speak, of course, from my perspective at ADC, and I know the advocacy work that we try to do on that particular issue, which is to raise awareness of Arabs, Islam in America, and interacting with Arabs and Muslims in America. And we offer this, these training and educational seminars to just about anyone who is interested in them, provided that we have the resources. And resources is of course, a key issue there. In order to make these programs more widespread and to make sure they're marketed, people need to support organizations that do this kind of work. Having said that, of course, as one of the reasons, one of the other things that we found is these same people that we were talking about now also have made their ways into different aspects of diversity training and sensitivity training, and sometimes they mold some of the classes that people take in here and what they learn about Arabs and Muslims. So again, it's part of the same the same forces working against us. I know that in the work that we've done a lot of educational outreach, and I'd say the vast majority of people who attend these seminars or training sessions walk away and are very thankful and grateful that they had the chance to learn more about Arabs and Muslims, and also maybe perhaps meet an Arab or a Muslim for the first time. And I think that does a lot to break down barriers. People might be more susceptible to listening to racism and bigotry if they don't have the same knowledge of a person one-on-one, so that they can diffuse that type of thinking.
Okay. Laila, this is the first time that we actually have someone from ADC on the program. We did have the Honorable Senator James Abu Rizk, but we were mainly talking about politics and the war in the Middle East. But take a couple of minutes and tell us what ADC is all about and how your education programs and your media programs working throughout the United States, and how somebody can. We will go ahead and put the website on. It's www.adc.org. And are you working through public systems to educate? Tell me about some of your programs very briefly, so we can move on to something else.
Sure. Happy to tell you a little bit about ADC. ADC is, of course, an Arab American organization. It's a civil rights organization. It also is a grassroots organization with a chapter structure. So we have about 38 chapters here in the United States. We were founded in 1980 to defend the civil rights of Arab Americans and also to promote Arab culture here in the United States. And so that is what we continue to do. In terms of getting involved with ADC, I would encourage anyone who wants to learn more about this to check out our website at adc.org. We work, I think that this is particularly relevant to the discussion that we're having, is that we compile reports and we produce information about the condition of the community. And one of the things that we're working on right now is a very comprehensive report that follows or continues up from our last report, which ended in 2002. And the report is a report on hate crimes and discrimination against Arab Americans and Muslim Americans. And what we do is reflected in that report, which will be forthcoming. So we work in terms of legal advocacy on the community. So we will describe some of the legal issues facing the community, media affairs, so communications work and educational outreach that we do, educational affairs, so any discrimination that happens in educational school systems and how to report it and how to combat all of that. And in terms of our outreach program, it's available to schools, corporations, companies. One just need contact ADC.
Okay. By the way, I was the Louisiana chapter coordinator back in early 90s. So proudly I'm associated with ADC. Tell me about, because there's one of the greatest things that I liked when I I always looked forward to is the convention, the annual convention, and also the internship where you take young Arabs and non-Arabs, actually. Can you tell me a little bit about the internship and also the annual convention?
Those are two of the most, I think, fun aspects of the work that we do. The convention happens every year. It's an annual event, and it happens either the last week of May or the first couple weeks of June. We have not yet set the date, but it usually takes place over a weekend, so it has 2 or 3 days worth of activities, mainly educational and informative discussions.
And families are encouraged to come as families, right? I mean, you have a lot of programs
for... It's very family-friendly. It also, if there are all sorts of educational things to do. DC is a great city to be able to come to. So we encourage everyone to take a look at it and also offer suggestions to things that you'd like to see included in the convention.
And actually, it's a place to meet people. I know some friends who met at the ADC convention, and they ended up getting married.
Sure, there's not only the family friendly, but it also helps you create a family. Now it's a great social experience because there are exhibits from leading vendors, there are parties at night, and you see the hospitality and the warmth of the community. And of course, the convention wouldn't be possible were it not for all the the volunteers and staff and the interns who help put it together. And in the summer, we have an internship program. It's open to anyone who wishes to apply. And again, same categories and fields of work, which would be legal affairs, government affairs, communications affairs, and other things in educational affairs. And so we usually have about 15 interns in the summer, and they get a great experience not only working in a grassroots organization, a civil rights organization, but being part of the civil rights discussion and debate here in Washington, D.C. And I have yet to meet an intern that didn't really enjoy their experience, and for me it's been very rewarding to see all the different types of people who were interested in working on Arab and Muslim affairs, and by and large it's a very wide cross section of people. We've had interns from just about everywhere.
Okay, Laila, stay with me. We're going to go to the phones. We have a caller from Canada. Go ahead, Ramsey. Ramsey, you're on. Go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
So I just want to make a point and ask a question. People like Daniel Pipes and the Anti-Defamation League, they also attacked the ADC, and other Muslim organizations. So this is not the first time that they do this.
Okay.
And sir, I have a question. Now, it's the school district board of education who's in charge of these issues, right? And
the New York City Education Department, yes.
Yes, so my question is, it's this lady, Debbie Almontaser,
yeah,
hasn't violated any of the Board of Education code of conduct. So what Daniel Pipes and all these Jewish people who attacked her don't have anything against her. So
well, they do have something against her politically because the way she explained what Intifada means. And of course, people see what Intifada is and they take it in a different way than what she explained.
Yeah, but sir, explaining something is not like the way she explained it. Like
she explained the meaning of it.
Yeah, I understand, but the thing is, her explanation was not anti-Semitic or hate speech or whatever.
Not at all.
So like she did not violate any of the code of conduct of the New York State Department of Education.
I'll tell you what, Ramsey, hold on a second. Laila, has Debbie, was she accused of anything like as far as like regulations, or did she break any regulations?
She did not.
She did not. Okay, so in whatever explanation she did, there was no like rule of conduct that she stepped over or anything. It was purely political.
She did not break any rules that I know of whatsoever.
Okay. You have a question, Ramsey?
Yes, that's why I say that that sir, it's good that you brought this issue up and to show you how these people. The activities of these people, and sir, there's a Jewish school in the United States where they teach Hebrew. They teach like see, if you go to these places, you feel like you're in Israel.
Yeah, we covered one 2 weeks ago in Florida, actually. Yes.
Yeah, and sir, it's good that you talk about these people and you expose these people's hypocrisy, because this issue was never mentioned in the mainstream media.
Right. I don't really have a problem with chartered schools wanting to teach Hebrew. I think, but I agree with you that no one raised a flag or a question or complained about the Hebrew school, but yet my problem with this, Ramsey, is not with Debbie Almontaser, and is not with what her political agenda or not or lack of it is. My problem is with describing a language as a ground to breed terrorists, as if a language responsible for breeding terrorists. We're forgetting that the government of our country right here is basically responsible for breeding 99% of terrorists out there.
Right.
You didn't say that, Laila. I said that. Ramzi, thanks for the call.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. Laila, what's this? I mean, what kind of environment do we have now? I mean, this is not the end. The school opening is not the end, but probably the beginning. Now, people are seeing anything Arabic, even the language, as a language that supposedly is going to indoctrinate terrorists. What can we do about that?
You know, unfortunately, it's not even the tip of the iceberg. Unfortunately,
who's responsible here?
Well, I mean, there's no doubt that, you know, there are a number of people who make a practice of targeting anything Arab, and, you know, people like that would be, you know, the Daniel Pipes, the Michelle Malkins, the Debbie Schlussels, who really make a career out of tracking anything that Arabs do and targeting them, you know, with you know, hate and racism. And I've seen it happen. This is certainly not the first incident that I've seen happen. I've seen other incidents happen, you know, over the course of my involvement working for Arab American organizations. And I've seen some really hateful things directed not only to ADC but also to myself from people who are obviously racist and, you know, hate Arabs. I can find no other reason to describe things that we've seen.
Can you tell us, I know you're busy and you have to go, but can you tell us like a couple of incidents that kind of just come up like most important?
But one of the most disgusting, revolting things that has ever happened to me, unfortunately happened at ADC. I was opening up mail in the office, and we're obviously no strangers to hate emails, hate letters, and hate phone calls. Our office has been targeted in the past. In the 1980s, late 80s, the ADC Southern Regional Director, Alex Oda, was murdered. The office was bombed, and Alex was killed.
And who was responsible and indicted for that? Who was the organization behind it?
Members of the extremist group, the Jewish Defense League, a couple of whom are still at large. There's an FBI reward out for their arrest, and they're suspected to be in a Jewish settlement, an illegal settlement somewhere in the West Bank.
Now, the Jewish Defense League...
these are horrible things that have happened to the organization. Thankfully, mine was not on that scale, but still quite as ridiculous. I mean, I was opening up some mail, and somebody sent a letter filled with feces to the office. I mean, that's just disgusting. Who does that kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, Laila, I just wanted to say thank you for coming on the program. I know you're extremely busy, and hopefully we'll have you back here soon to discuss other Arab American issues.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to join you anytime.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we wanted to bring you this story just to tell you that there are some crazy people out there. And now I would like to concentrate on what Debbie Almontaser, who was forced to leave her job, a job that she worked on. And by the way, this lady is an awesome lady, because she has been working since September 11 on bridging the gaps, working tirelessly within so many organizations to educate the American people and bring the people closer together. And this was one of her dreams, is to have Arabic language taught to American kids. And eventually, I mean, it was not just her, she was one of the people who began working on this project. And in partnership with another group, I believe called like New Visions for Public Schools in New York, they do get to these public schools and they become like chartered schools in many subjects. We have them right here. You know, we have charter schools right here. So this particular school decided that, hey, you know what? Arabic language would be interesting. And again, like we talked about in the beginning of the show, we need Arab-speaking people. We need people who speak Arabic. It looks like we are going to be in the Arab world for a long time. We don't even have enough translators to go with our troops. So if we're going to be invading these countries, then we better start teaching our people how to speak Arabic. So at least Jim Bob will not be thrown off his Humvee with an unidentified explosives because he did not understand what Abdul said. That's a racist remark. Well, sometimes you have to be absurd to explain absurdity. So, this lady happened to belong to an organization that is trying to make better lives for Arab Americans in New York. And in the same building, they share this other office that belongs to a women's organization who have T-shirts on, and it says NYC Intifada. So they asked Debbie, what does Intifada means? And she basically explained what Intifada means. Intifada in Arabic, ladies and gentlemen, it means to shake off. Now the term became popular because of the Palestinian Intifada. Just to shake off. Get this military occupation off my back. They want to shake off this military occupation off their back. An Intifada, basically the first time we had an Intifada was back in 1987, where little kids throwing rocks at Israeli tanks. That's basically what the Intifada was all about. But now, Intifada, they want it to mean something else. They want it to mean terrorism. They want it to mean violence. Maybe they can explain what military occupation is. What the pictures you are seeing now, that's what a military occupation looks like. Demolishing homes. Maybe they can explain that one. Maybe they can explain a Nakba. That's the Palestinian catastrophe when about 1 million Palestinians were forced off their land back in 1948 to make room for Europeans. Maybe they can explain that for me, if they did not like the way Debbie explained what Intifada means. Maybe they can explain the apartheid wall that is circling or encircling every Palestinian town and turning it into a prison, a collective prison for the whole city. Many people died at the gates of these prisons because they were not allowed to cross to go and receive health care. Maybe they can explain that. Maybe they can explain the genocide, the Palestinian genocide that the Israelis are committing, the violence, the daily violence that the Israelis are committing, but yet they want to attack a good, productive American and force her out of her job, force her out of her dream. Today, ladies and gentlemen, Debbie Almontaser was supposed to be sitting at the Khalil Gibran International Academy to see her students, to see her dream come true. Instead, she was forced. And Mayor Bloomberg accepted her resignation and even said that it was the right thing to do. Really? Mayor Bloomberg? It was not the right thing to do, but she had to do it. You yourself said that Debbie Almontaser is a good educator. You said that. You said you knew her. Unless you just said that for the media. But she is a good teacher. She is a good educator. And she was the best one for the school. She spoke Arabic. She knew Arabic. She knows the culture, and she knows what to do. But you accepted her resignation instead of standing next to her and say, no, Debbie is the principal. But instead, for strategic reasons, as my guest very politely put it, which I agree wholeheartedly, that the decision to put a Jewish woman instead was to pick and choose your fight. Of course, it worked for a little bit. You put a Band-Aid on the problem, but that wasn't the right thing to do. The right thing to do was to keep that principal that worked so hard to build that program in that school, to see it happening. Today, the doors opened, and today, the school started. I'm sure Debbie is happy to see that, at least her dream had been accomplished. But it was the right thing to do, and the wrong thing to do is to put a Jewish woman in her place. I think there were a lot more Arab-speaking people in that city that could have been the proper and the right principals if you actually accepted Debbie's resignation. The right thing that was to do is to not accept Debbie's resignation and continue on the right path. Because we should not mix education with politics. And it is, in my opinion, a slap in the face for the Arab community. Not because I have a problem with a Jewish woman, but I think we all know the story about the Arabs and the Jews. I mean, let's not be blindfolded here. We know the story. We know there's a history between the Arabs and the Jews. And the worst thing was to put a Jewish woman on top of this school. Trying to say what? That if an Arab principal remained at the helms, that this school was going to be a breeding ground for terrorists? But yet when you bring a Jewish woman, that supposedly these kids going to be all angels? You decide, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a fair world. It's not a just world. We understand that. But I didn't know it was a stupid world, because that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. People are allowed to force, the likes of Daniel Pipes are allowed to attack Arabs and Muslims. Even though there are 1.2 billion people out there who are Muslims, and there are over 300 million Arabs. And we know that terrorists today, who exist today, 95% of them or more were created after we went and attacked Iraq and Afghanistan. After. A language, attacking a language as being a breeding ground for terrorists. That's a shame. That's a shame to happen in America when the Constitution, it said, we the people. It did not say, we the white people. It did not say, we the Christian people. It did not say, we the Muslim people, we the black people. It said, we the people. And I believe Muslims and Arabs are protected under the Constitution, unless the Constitution is just another blank piece of paper. As our president once said, well, it's either a constitution for everybody or selectively and let people have their own constitutions. Let's have just chaos in the country. Because we can't stop the likes of Daniel Pipes, who I might add is a favorite for Al Jazeera for some reason. This man who is notorious about just attacking Arabs and Muslim cultures. And he is favorite of Al Jazeera. I don't know, I haven't seen him there for a while, but for a while there he was there probably every couple of weeks you see Daniel Pipes, and I'm wondering, it's like, do they know who he is? But hey, they give him time. And he was very polite when he's on Al Jazeera. But watch him on Fox. Oh boy. Talk about hypocrisy. Talk about people who talk with both sides of their mouth. That's what Daniel Pipe is. But, ladies and gentlemen, it's sad. It really is when we have this sort of things happen in the United States. And, you know, we mentioned about the Hebrew. Now, let me tell you the difference between the two. You know, we have 300 million Arabs out there with hundreds or thousands of companies, American companies, working in the Middle East. Okay? So, if we need Arab-speaking Americans, we need them now. Instead of the Khalil Gibran school, we need hundreds of schools. Arabic needs to be a second language in every school in America. In every school in America, the Arabic language needs to be as a second language, because your son or daughter might be called upon one day, either through military actions, which it looks like we will be there for a while. You know, we are about to attack Iran here, not, and I keep saying, no, we will not, but everybody out there saying that, yeah, we are going to attack Iran. And I look at, if we do attack Iran, what will happen with our stretched out army, but yet we have a guy in the White House who thinks, and by the way, these same people who basically tried to kill this program at the Khalil Gibran school are the same people who are pushing the president to attack Iran. These people will fight for the lost Americans for Israel. Because Bill Kristol, he flatly said it. Now, who Bill Kristol is? He is the editor of the magazine. What's his magazine's? The Standard. With the Project for the New American Century. They're very much now pushing the president to attack Iran. It will be a mistake, ladies and gentlemen, if we attack Iran. They think that within 3 days, they have about 1,200 targets in Iran already mapped out. I have seen a letter from someone who is on some of these ships that we have close to Iran, saying that they are very much ready and waiting for the president. Bombs are in the chambers, or whatever they call them, ready to attack Iran. Imagine what will happen to our troops in Iraq if we do attack Iran. So somebody wants the end of America, because that's what will happen. Economically, ladies and gentlemen, this war has destroyed our economy. If you haven't seen it yet, you might want to look into it more. That is the war that we need to be afraid of is the economic war. That other people, even China, is winning that war big time. We are borrowing money to run this war. Where in the heck are we going to get that money to attack Iran? And if we think that Iraq was so easy to get, let's think again on Iran. It is not going to be as easy. And there is no benefit. There is absolutely none whatsoever. There's no national interest for us to attack Iran. None whatsoever. So are we bluffing? Well, the Iranians are. They're not scared. As a matter of fact, probably to the regime of Ahmadinejad, this would be the best thing for him to happen. He wants America to attack. He wants America to attack. And just tell you one thing, that if we do attack, it will be the worst mistake. Even though Iraq was the worst mistake in our country's history. And I think our army just celebrated like the 230 something years. I guarantee you this will be the biggest mistake and the worst mistake we'll ever do. And the people who are pushing for this are the same people who pushed for this Arabic program not to go on in Brooklyn. You connect the dots, ladies and gentlemen. You connect the dots. The people who hate the Arabic language are the Daniel Pipes, the David Horowitz, the people who, the editors in the New York Sun and others. And all you have to do is just look at who they are. And I guarantee you, you will connect the dots to the Middle East. So having a Jewish principal on top of this Arabic school, even though temporary, will diffuse situations, and it will probably, whoever thought about this brilliant idea, probably it will backfire big time. If they think they're going to shut off and shut up these people who attacked a language, this fix will not make things right. This fix will not take care of the problem. What they should have done, ladies and gentlemen, what they should have done is leave Debbie in her position, and that would have taken care of the problem. But removing Debbie from the program and bringing a Jewish woman in her place, that's politically incorrect. We should not be picking and choosing which one. We should not be placing people in these positions just because it will take care of a political problem. No, for God's sake, this is education. And if Debbie was the right person professionally for the job, then Mayor Bloomberg should have stood right there by her and not accepted her resignation. But of course, who am I to decide for Mayor Bloomberg what his right political move should be? So I guess after all, schools are not just for education, but they are a political ground for people to fight over. Of course, she's saying, well, of course, this has been since day one. Yeah. But supposedly in America, it's not a democracy, it's a republic. And in a republic, everyone's rights are guaranteed. In a democracy, the majority rules, the minority go to hell. But in a republic, everyone's right is supposed to be protected. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you Thursday at 6:30 with Paul Craig Roberts.
Hi, I'm Keisha Alama, Community Relations Coordinator for Faith House. Faith House is a temporary crisis shelter for victims of domestic violence and their children. We do both residential and non-residential